addiction or problem, talk to someone. Talk to someone you respect, whether it's a counselor or to go to a 12-step program.
From a viral video of an actor struggling to eat a cheeseburger while drunk on the floor, to a legendary star who needed over 40 takes for a simple scene just to keep drinking, these are the top 20 worst alcoholics in Hollywood history. Number 20. Robert Downey Jr. Imagine being at the top of Hollywood one day and in a prison cell the next. That was the life of Robert Downey Jr., a man whose talent was matched only by his battle with addiction. Today, he's known as Iron Man, a hero on screen and off. But his road to redemption was anything but easy. Downey's struggles began shockingly early. At just 6 years old, his father gave him marijuana as a misguided way to bond. By his teens, drugs were a daily habit, and his addiction escalated from there. In 1996, police found him speeding with heroin, cocaine, and a loaded gun in his car. Just weeks later, he was discovered passed out in a neighbor's child's bedroom. His drug use became so severe that doctors found his spinal cord coated with crystallized cocaine. These incidents led to repeated arrests, stints in rehab, and even a year in prison in 1999. At his lowest point, Downey was fired from the hit show Ally McBeal due to his substance abuse. Hollywood seemed to have given up on him. But in 2003, Downey made a choice to fight back. With the support of his wife, Susan Levin, he committed to recovery through therapy, meditation, martial arts, and a 12-step program. His comeback began with the role of Tony Stark in Iron Man, 2008, which made him one of the highest-paid actors in the world. Now, sober for over 15 years, Downey's story is a testament to how far determination and support can take you. Number 19. Richard Burton. Richard Burton was famous for his deep voice and powerful performances in films like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf and 1984. He was nominated for 7 Academy Awards, but his personal life was filled with struggles, especially with alcohol. Burton started drinking when he was just 12 years old. As his fame grew, so did his addiction. At his worst, he drank up to 3 bottles of vodka every day. His drinking often caused trouble on set. While filming The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, he had to drink a glass of whiskey for a scene. It took 47 takes because he kept messing up, and many believed he was doing it on purpose to keep drinking. Another time, while filming The Night of the Iguana, Burton got drunk and jumped into the ocean, claiming he was chasing a shark. After his death, doctors revealed something shocking. His spine was coated with crystallized alcohol, a result of years of heavy drinking. Despite warnings about his health, he couldn't stop. Burton died in 1984 at the age of 58, remembered for his incredible talent and a life that was tragically cut short by addiction. Number 18. John Barrymore. He was a star who seemed untouchable, the man who brought Hamlet to life on Broadway and mesmerized audiences in Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. But John Barrymore's greatest battle wasn't on stage. It was with himself and the bottle that controlled him. Barrymore started drinking when he was just 14. Over the years, his addiction grew worse. By 1936, his memory had been so damaged by alcohol that he needed cue cards to remember his lines. When he couldn't get alcohol, he once resorted to drinking cologne. His behavior became increasingly strange. At a christening, he shocked everyone by pretending to play rugby with a baby. His health declined quickly. Barrymore suffered from liver problems, kidney disease, and other alcohol-related illnesses. He was hospitalized many times but couldn't stop drinking. He died in 1942 at the age of 60, leaving behind a legacy as one of the greatest actors of his time. His life is a sad reminder of how addiction can destroy even the brightest stars. Number 17. Jan Michael Vincent. At one time, Jan Michael Vincent had everything: a magnetic screen presence, blockbuster roles, and a paycheck that made him the highest-paid TV actor of the 1980s. Vincent's career soared in the 1970s and early 1980s with hits like The Mechanic and Big Wednesday. But by the time he starred in Airwolf, his struggles with alcohol and drugs were already taking over his life. On set, his behavior was erratic. He often showed up drunk or high, causing production delays. By the third season, it was clear his addiction was out of control, and the show was canceled partly because of his unreliability. His personal life was even more chaotic. In 1996, a horrific car crash left him with a broken neck and damaged vocal cords. He survived, but was left with a permanent rasp in his voice. His arrests for public intoxication became frequent and shocking. In one incident, he was found passed out in his own vomit at an airport. Another time, his drunken rage turned violent. He reportedly stomped a kitten to death and attacked his girlfriend. By 2012, years of substance abuse caught up with him. Complications from peripheral artery disease led to the partial amputation of his right leg. Financially ruined, he spent his final years in obscurity, owing thousands in taxes. When Vincent died in 2019, at the age of 74, it was hard to reconcile the image of the dashing, talented star he once was with the broken man he became. Number 16. Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn didn't just act in swashbuckling adventures, he lived them. On screen, he was the daring hero in classics like The Adventures of Robin Hood and Captain Blood. Off-screen, he drank, fought, and indulged with the same reckless abandon. But the real-life adventures came with a cost. He once climbed naked up a pub chimney, claiming to be Santa Claus. He drank entire bottles of whiskey in one sitting, fought strangers in bars, and earned a reputation for pushing the limits of even Hollywood's loose standards. But the years of drinking destroyed his health. By his late 40s, Flynn looked far older than his age. His once youthful face became bloated. His body weakened by alcohol-related illnesses. When he died at 50 in 1959, his autopsy revealed an enlarged liver, cirrhosis, and heart problems caused by years of abuse. Flynn's life, like his films, was larger than life, but it ended as a sobering reminder of the price of excess. Number 15. Barbara Payton. Barbara Payton was a picture-perfect starlet in 1950s Hollywood. With her blonde, bombshell looks, she shared the screen with legends like James Cagney and Gregory Peck. But behind the glamour, her drinking became excessive, and her behavior grew unpredictable. In 1962, she was found passed out at a bus stop, wearing nothing but a coat and a bathing suit. It was the first of many public scandals. As her addiction worsened, she lost her career and turned to prostitution to survive. Once a sought-after actress, she was now seen walking Sunset Boulevard, soliciting clients. Alcohol and hard living destroyed her beauty. By her late 30s, the woman who once graced movie posters was nearly unrecognizable. Payton's story grew more tragic. She lost custody of her son and any hope of returning to Hollywood. In a desperate attempt to make money, she sold her life story for $1,000, releasing a tell-all memoir called I Am Not Ashamed. The title felt painfully ironic as her life spiraled further. In 1967, Payton died at just 39 from heart and liver failure, her body ravaged by years of alcohol abuse. Her story is a haunting tale of how quickly addiction can steal fame, fortune, and a future, leaving only memories of what might have been. Number 14. Humphrey Bogart. Humphrey Bogart was the man who defined cool before it even had a name. With his gravelly voice, piercing stare, and a cigarette always in hand, he was a legend. Known for unforgettable films like Casablanca and The Maltese Falcon, Bogart became Hollywood's ultimate tough guy. But behind the screen, his life was filled with whiskey, wit, and a struggle that even his iconic roles couldn't hide. Bogart's love for Scotch whiskey was almost as famous as his acting. He drank so regularly that he joked, "The whole world is 3 drinks behind." His routine was set in stone. His hairdresser mixed drinks for him after work, and he would sip steadily to maintain a glow all day. Remarkably, he managed to keep his performances sharp, even while his drinking became part of his identity. During the filming of The African Queen, Bogart and director John Huston avoided the sickness that plagued the rest of the crew by sticking to whiskey instead of local water. But even as he laughed off concerns, the effects of his heavy drinking and smoking took a toll. Bogart developed esophageal cancer, which ultimately claimed his life in 1957 at the age of 57. Despite his struggles, his legacy as one of Hollywood's greatest actors remains untouchable. Number 13. W.C. Fields. Imagine a man who could make you laugh with a single line, all while holding a martini in his hand. That was W.C. Fields, Hollywood's king of sarcasm and sly humor. Fields wasn't just playing the part of a hard-drinking cynic in films like The Bank Dick. Off-screen, he lived it. For him, life was a comedy, even as alcohol quietly wrote its tragic ending. Fields's drinking habits were legendary. He drank up to 2 quarts of gin every day and kept martinis disguised in milk bottles on set. When warned about the dangers of his lifestyle, he simply ignored it. His health began to fail as a result of years of heavy drinking. Delirium tremens, liver damage, and stomach hemorrhages became frequent. But Fields carried on, delivering sharp humor until the end. By Christmas 1946, Fields's body had endured all it could. He died from a massive gastric hemorrhage at the age of 66. Though his life ended too soon, his wit and unique comedic style have left a permanent mark on the history of Hollywood. Number 12. Bernard Lee. If you've watched James Bond movies, you know his voice. Calm, firm, and commanding. Bernard Lee was the original M, the man who gave 007 his orders. For nearly 20 years, he was the steady presence behind the world's most famous spy. But off-screen, Lee's life was far from steady. His battle with alcohol shaped much of his career, and his personal tragedies added to his struggles. Lee's drinking became a secret he tried hard to hide. On set, he would sip alcohol through a straw passed under his dressing room door to avoid being caught. But sometimes, his addiction made secrecy impossible. During the filming of The Third Man, Lee vanished entirely, and crew members had to search local bars to find him. His drinking worsened after a series of heartbreaking events. A house fire claimed the life of his wife, and he was later mugged, leaving him depressed and in debt. At one of his lowest points, he met Richard Burton in a pub. Burton, moved by his story, gave him a $6,000 check to help him recover. This unexpected kindness turned Lee's life around. He remarried and returned to his iconic role as M, continuing to appear in Bond films until his death. In 1981, Lee passed away from stomach cancer, likely exacerbated by his years of heavy drinking. Even with his struggles, his work remains beloved, and his portrayal of M defined a generation of Bond fans. Number 11. Peter O'Toole. There was a time when Peter O'Toole's name was synonymous with brilliance on screen. With piercing blue eyes and a voice that could command any scene, he captivated audiences in unforgettable roles. But behind the charm and talent was a man battling demons, and his journey became as legendary as his acting. O'Toole's breakout came with Lawrence of Arabia, where he delivered a performance so iconic it earned him his first of 8 Academy Award nominations. But while his work dazzled audiences, his personal life was a whirlwind of chaos fueled by alcohol. His drinking was notorious. In 1963, he was so intoxicated that he didn't even realize President John F. Kennedy had been assassinated until days later. Stories like this weren't just shocking. They revealed how far O'Toole's addiction had taken him from reality. By the 1970s, the damage was undeniable. O'Toole suffered from severe pancreatitis, narrowly avoiding death. Doctors warned him that even one more drink could kill him. The scare forced him to quit drinking, but the years of excess left their mark on his health and looks. While he continued acting, his reputation for unreliability had already hurt his career. Peter O'Toole passed away in 2013 at the age of 81. He left behind a body of work that continues to inspire, and a story that serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of addiction. Number 10. William Holden. William Holden lived life on the edge, both on screen and off. Known for his rugged good looks and natural charm, he was one of Hollywood's biggest stars. But behind the glamour was a man with a dangerous addiction that eventually cost him everything. Holden lit up the screen in Sunset Boulevard and won an Oscar for his role in Stalag 17. On set, he relied on alcohol to steady his nerves. Director Billy Wilder once said that Holden drank to pull himself together, just to get through his scenes. Off-screen, his behavior became reckless. Co-stars recalled terrifying incidents, like Holden doing handstands on windowsills while drunk. In one shocking moment, he jumped from a 10-story window, catching himself at the last second and dangling by just 2 fingers. His charm couldn't hide the fact that he was spiraling out of control. The end came tragically. On November 12, 1981, Holden slipped on a rug in his Santa Monica apartment and hit his head on a night table. He tried to stop the bleeding with tissues, but underestimated the severity of the injury. Alone and heavily intoxicated, he bled to death within 30 minutes, just feet from a phone. He was only 63 years old. Number 9. Elizabeth Taylor. Taylor rose to fame with films like Cat on a Hot Tin Roof and Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, earning 2 Academy Awards for Best Actress. She was a symbol of beauty and talent, yet alcohol often got in the way. Co-stars and directors described days when she was too drunk to remember her lines. Her addiction took a toll on her career and reputation, but she refused to let it define her. In 1983, Taylor made headlines when she checked into the Betty Ford Center. It was a groundbreaking moment. No Hollywood star had openly sought treatment for addiction before. While in rehab, Taylor found strength in the support of others and gained a new perspective on life. She later said, "Not being drunk is the only way I'm going to stay alive." Though she experienced a relapse in 1988, Taylor's determination saw her through. She maintained her sobriety for the rest of her life, using her platform to advocate for addiction recovery. Her openness about her struggles helped break the stigma around seeking help. Elizabeth Taylor passed away in 2011 at the age of 79. Number 8. Spencer Tracy. Behind the golden age of Hollywood and the flashing lights of success lay a man battling his own demons. Spencer Tracy, celebrated for unforgettable performances in Captain's Courageous, Boys Town, and Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, was a cinematic legend. But his brilliance came at a price. MGM Studios, aware of his addiction, assigned a special Tracy squad to keep him in check. This team had one mission: to make sure Tracy was sober enough to work. They dealt with his binges and ensured the show went on. Yet, the toll was visible. During the filming of The Seventh Cross in 1944, Tracy was so unwell from drinking that he missed 16 days of shooting. Tracy's drinking often led to dangerous situations. He would lock himself in hotel rooms and drink for days, leaving his friends and colleagues to intervene. One of the lowest points came when he was replaced in a film due to his inability to perform. The rejection led to a mental and physical breakdown. Number 7. Robin Williams. The man who could make the whole world laugh hid a world of pain behind his humor. Robin Williams, loved for roles in Good Morning, Vietnam, Dead Poets Society, and Good Will Hunting, had an energy that seemed boundless. But beneath the smiles and quick wit, he faced a lifelong battle with addiction. In the early 1980s, at the height of his fame on Mork and Mindy, Williams turned to alcohol and cocaine. He later admitted that cocaine gave him a place to hide, numbing the chaos around him. Tragedy struck in 1982 when John Belushi, a close friend, died of an overdose. This event, along with the birth of Williams's son, pushed him to quit cold turkey. For 20 years, he stayed sober. But addiction has a way of sneaking back. In 2003, Williams relapsed. He described it in raw terms, saying he heard a voice telling him to take just one drink. It escalated so quickly, he admitted, recalling how, within a week, he was buying so much alcohol, he sounded like a wind chime walking down the street. Number 6. Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson was Hollywood's golden boy. The Lethal Weapon star and director of Braveheart and The Passion of the Christ seemed untouchable. But Gibson's success was matched by his turbulent relationship with alcohol, which nearly destroyed his career. The world saw the cracks in 2006 when he was arrested for drunk driving. What shocked people even more were the anti-Semitic remarks he made during the arrest, which turned a DUI into a global scandal. His career took a nosedive, and his public image was left in tatters. Gibson later revealed that his battle with alcohol began at just 13 years old. By the time he became a Hollywood star, drinking was a way of life. The consequences were severe. In 2010, a leaked phone call revealed Gibson berating his then-partner, Oksana Grigorieva. The recording, fueled by alcohol, exposed his verbal abuse and racist remarks, deepening the public's anger. But Gibson didn't let his story end there. In a 2016 interview, he shared that he had been sober for a decade, crediting Alcoholics Anonymous for helping him turn his life around. He described recovery as a deeply personal and spiritual journey, proving that change is possible even after hitting rock bottom. Number 5. Oliver Reed. Oliver Reed was one of Britain's most exciting actors. He starred in famous films like Women in Love, The Devils, and The Three Musketeers. He had rugged good looks and an intense energy that made him a favorite in the 1960s and 1970s. But off-screen, Reed's drinking made him even more famous. Reed's drinking was extreme. He once claimed to have drunk 100 pints of beer in one day. His behavior was wild and unpredictable. He got into countless bar fights, leaving scars on his face as proof. While filming The Three Musketeers, he almost died when his throat was accidentally cut during a sword fight. Many believed his drinking made the situation worse. In one bizarre incident, Reed climbed naked up a chimney at a pub, shouting that he was Santa Claus. Tragically, his drinking led to his death. In 1999, while filming Gladiator in Malta, he challenged a group of sailors to a drinking contest. He drank 8 bottles of beer, 3 bottles of rum, and several shots of whiskey. Shortly after, he collapsed and died of a heart attack. Reed's life was as wild as his final moments. leaving behind both great films and shocking stories. Number 4. David Hasselhoff. When you think of David Hasselhoff, you might picture him running in slow motion on the beaches of Baywatch. But for years, Hasselhoff was running from something far darker: his battle with alcohol. In 2007, the world saw a shocking glimpse into his private struggles. A video recorded by his daughter showed him drunk, shirtless, and struggling to eat a cheeseburger on the floor. It went viral, becoming a moment that defined his public fight with addiction. This was far from the only incident. Hasselhoff was hospitalized multiple times for alcohol poisoning, and his daughter once found him unconscious and barely breathing. He also faced DUI charges, including one in 2004 that sent him to an alcohol treatment program. His drinking affected more than his health. His ex-wife, Pamela Bach, called it the reason for their marriage falling apart. Despite his charisma on screen, his personal life was in chaos. Hasselhoff has since sought help through rehab and continues to work on staying sober. Number 3. Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay Lohan didn't just grow up in Hollywood, she owned it. From The Parent Trap to Mean Girls, she was one of the brightest young stars of her generation. But fame came fast, and with it came trouble. By 21, Lohan was a regular in Los Angeles' party scene, where alcohol and drugs were everywhere. Her legal troubles began in 2007 with 2 DUIs in just 3 months. In one of those arrests, police found cocaine in her car. Over the next 5 years, she went to rehab 6 times, spending over 250 days in treatment. She also faced multiple probation violations, which landed her in jail briefly. Her career began to unravel. Lohan lost major roles due to her unreliability. On set, she became known for arriving late or not at all. She later admitted to using cocaine 10 to 15 times, claiming it helped her drink more. Her life seemed to spiral out of control, with one incident even finding her passed out in a hotel hallway. In recent years, Lohan has tried to rebuild her career and regain control of her life. Number 2. Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf's name is as famous for his controversies as it is for his talent. From Disney's Even Stevens to blockbusters like Transformers, he proved his skill as an actor early on. But behind the scenes, alcohol led him down a destructive path. LaBeouf's troubles became public in 2014 when he disrupted a Broadway performance and was arrested for shouting obscenities. In 2017, he was arrested again, this time for public drunkenness and obstruction. Body cam footage of the incident showed him hurling racist slurs at police officers. Even during the filming of The Peanut Butter Falcon, LaBeouf's drinking led to another arrest for public intoxication. That arrest became a turning point. In 2017, LaBeouf began seeking help. By 2022, he revealed he had been sober for over 600 days, calling it the great humbling of his life. While his journey has been filled with challenges, LaBeouf's story shows that even in the darkest moments, change is possible. Number 1. Daniel Radcliffe. For millions, Daniel Radcliffe will always be Harry Potter. But behind the magic, Radcliffe faced a very real battle with alcohol. Radcliffe began drinking heavily as a teenager to cope with the pressures of global fame. He has admitted to being drunk or hungover while filming some Harry Potter scenes, saying, "I can point to many moments where I'm just gone." He didn't drink on set, but his nights often ended in blackout drunkenness. In 2010, at just 22, Radcliffe realized he needed to stop. It took several attempts, but by 2013, he achieved sobriety. He credits his recovery to his family, friends, and his commitment to acting. Since then, Radcliffe has continued to thrive in his career, taking on challenging roles in film and theater.